Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Whatcha Watching. We're going to talk. It's summer here in Manitowoc. We're going to be talking about summer blockbusters today. Some of the best, some of the worst. We're going to talk about it all. So here today with me, I am really happy to have my coworker Tim Gazinski back again.
Hello, man.
Hello. And then I want to welcome everyone, my coworker Lisa Devins, to the chat to talk with us today.
Woohoo!
We all excited?
Yeah.
Super excited.
Yeah. Now, I know summer is a great time to be outside, but it's also that time of year where some of the biggest, best, sometimes best movies come out. So
For sure.
when I think summer blockbuster, I think something like, we all have different opinions. So my opinion on what it is typically something that has a lot of anticipation coming when it's about to come out. It's something like a sequel, something, or like the biggest thing in a new trilogy. Could be a big action movie. I just think it's like explosions, good, cheesy acting sometimes, bad acting sometimes. Just big. So what do you guys think when you think summer blockbuster? What do your mind immediately go to?
An easy story. It has to be an easily digestible story that kind of appeals to everybody. Mm-hmm. And like by easy mean, conquer the bad guys and that's the simple outcome, not too complicated.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, usually they are, some of them are simple and don't have the best plots, I would say, but they're still entertaining. So I get your point. I agree with that.
I disagree just a little bit. I like a more like challenging or bizarre summer affair because, that'll fall into place. I mean, when you think about one of the movies that we're talking about later that, is being redone, but when Alien first came out, that was different. When you think about it, Star Wars was, kind of a summer movie too.
Yes, that's right.
And I went to that as a joke. I thought it was going to be dumb. I mean, initially when I was 13, and then that ship kept going and going and go, and then I'm like, well, I was wrong. But really, what I love about summer movies, whether I love them or hate them, is sitting in a dark, air-conditioned spot with a garbage can full of popcorn.
And all the candy, the bites, the hot dogs. Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean, I tend, you wouldn't think it with it being so warm, but I tend to eat more of the movie, gunk during the summer than I do when it's colder outside.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta get all that food because sometimes those movies are 3 hours long. In the summer.
More and more, right? Yeah,
yes.
You're gonna get a whole 3-course meal there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I loved about when I lived in Europe for a year. They're actually the whole movie going up and down the aisles with carts of stuff.
I've heard that.
It's more like ice cream and chocolate. The popcorn isn't such a big deal, or at least it wasn't when I was there. Yeah, but it was going the whole time. They also had beer movies.
Movie crews need to set their game
up. No, they have that here too. But I mean,
I can get behind that.
Yeah, when I was but a lad, and it seemed like such a great thing. But but I think you should have fun, whether it's challenging fun or just fun, washing over you. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. That you should leave with some kind of fun in it.
Oh, and somebody who you can root for. That's even true of Alien. There's that person that you can root for that you're like, wow, they did it.
Yeah, and root against too, right? I mean, it's very clear cut.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that I got your opinions. I think another big thing when I'm now thinking about is they know they want to make a lot of money, so people go more into the theaters in the summer. For the blockbusters, and I would say it's either that's the make it or break it point for a lot of movies if they're gonna be successful or they're going to be a box office flop, and we're going to talk about some too.
Yeah, for sure. No, you're right. Like you don't really hear about things that they expect to be big, like holiday time movies, like between Thanksgiving and the end of the year, but they don't use the term blockbuster nearly as much as they do for summer movies.
Exactly. Yep. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And more prestige.
And there's the merchandising thing too with the summer
That's a good
movies.
point. Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. The merchandising for a movie that we're talking about later, I'll bring it up because we'll just for Wolverine and Deadpool. Oh my God! It is just it's going crazier and crazier as the movie approaches.
Oh my God!
I haven't even noticed.
Oh,
I haven't either.
If you're just watching random TV, there are so many. The one I remember was for DiGiorno.
Of course.
Got to let this okay, all right. Oh, hey, and Matt, also, if I can interject something, you would like it if people chimed in and commented and asked questions that are watching along, right? Yep. So if you're out there, feel free to ask questions. Just type them into the comments box. Yep. Comments or questions, and we will get to them if possible. But we do have a lot of stuff. We're covering a lot of ground.
Mm-hmm. All right. So without further ado, I want to start off with some of the best summer blockbusters that have appeared throughout the years. So we have a list of 5 we're going to talk about. So let's just get into it.
All right.
So number 1, Independence Day. Probably one of the most infamous alien movies there is. Will Smith, Roland Emmerich, the director, the masterpiece of the disaster movie. Just a great. I only saw this recently, actually, about 2 years ago. I was a late bloomer for this. Sorry. Roland Emmerich is hit or miss me. He did, for example, he did the movie The Day After Tomorrow, which I love. He did 2012. A lot of big blockbusters, quite honestly, I would say.
Yeah.
So this one was really impressive. The effects. I think this was 80s. I want to say. I don't remember exactly. I think it was 80s.
It was in the 80s for sure, or early 90s.
I think it was the early 90s.
Okay.
But just the idea of these mile-long spaceships, that sinister movement going over the city. Oh, it was impressive. Very impressive visuals. And what do you guys think of it?
I saw this with my whole entire family. And that's one of the things I associate with the summer blockbuster was, my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles, and just hearing them howl laughing about Will Smith, dragging that alien out and punching him in the face.
Oh, yeah.
It's just silly. But it's just so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and Randy Quaid. I mean, it had that disaster movie of the 70s sort of feel where they get so many celebrities into a movie and just kind of let them run with it. But I mean, it was so fast paced, and it just kept shifting gears too, like the impending sense of doom. Yeah, like when everyone was gathering in the city, watching them and thinking something good might happen. And it's not going to, because otherwise the movie would be 14 minutes long. But no, I liked it when it came out. I didn't care for the sequels nearly as much. And but Roland Emmerich, I do like that he is willing to push boundaries to absurdity. Like Day After Tomorrow, that they could walk from Philly to New York in about, I don't know, 4 hours in a horrible snowstorm. It was great. Yeah, if you hadn't been out there, you're like, wow, you can't do that. But he'll play with whatever reality he needs to, and so I enjoy it. It pushes it so far it almost becomes absurd.
You go with it. That's what the fun thing is. You never question it. You're like, sure, I believe this.
Yeah, and that Judd Hirsch keeps popping up.
Oh my God!
When you least want him to, it's like he comes in with words of wisdom. I think it's a fun movie. I definitely enjoy it. And technically, I forgot to start our timer per movie. Oh no! So I will start that on our next one. My apologies for not doing that.
Okay.
I do, yeah. I would say Roland is when I think summer blockbuster, I think his name quite a bit because, like I said, he's known for that cheesy disaster, destruction everywhere, blowing up the White House, all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what? Usually, I know his last movie Moonfall was interesting. I don't know if that was I wouldn't call that a summer blockbuster because I didn't know a lot about that one, but it was the same vein.
Yeah. Was Independence Day the first case blowing up the White House, full out destruction of the White House?
I think it was a big deal. I think people were offended, actually. I want to say.
Come on, it's a summer movie.
I know, but that's what I can't be too sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what I've heard in the past.
And then with like Olympus right? What is it?
White House Down. Or
White
Olympus
House.
Fallen.
White House Down, and then Olympus has fallen, right?
Yeah, they're kind of that. Yeah, they're very.
Yeah, because I mean, they just destroy the White House. They don't destroy it completely, but it's in pretty bad shape.
Yeah. Well, Roland, he was the first one to throw the stone that did it.
and you know what I did like about Independence Day 2 was that they gave Bill Pullman the Shakespearean speech. They let him do the whole thing when he was rallying the world to fight back. It was so out of Henry V. It was a St. Crispin's Day monologue, just tweaked so that it's aliens instead of the French.
Yeah.
And the vote is still out who's worse, the aliens or the French.
Yeah.
So thank you, Roland Emmerich.
Yeah. Overall, great. Overall, good example. We're going to go on to the next one now, which is...
Oh, 1 sec. And that is right here.
One of the most infamous creature movies out there. Spielberg at probably his best. And Lisa, you have a little fun fact about this movie.
Yes, I did a little research and I found out that this is the first summer blockbuster of all time.
Yep.
This is like film, and their marketing drew the blueprint, and they have used this idea going forward. And in fact, they copied the marketing and a lot of the ideas for when they released the Star Wars film in 77, because this was 75.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was little when this came out, and it was everywhere, and everybody was talking about it. And I just rewatched it the other day with my son, and he thought he wasn't going to like it, and he was on the edge of his seat. And it's the same thing. You're rooting for the characters. They're just, Quint is just over the top. And I believe he improvised that monologue about the Indianapolis.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I think, yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Shaw was great. I mean, he was such a great actor, but he was especially great in this movie.
Well, he was also drunk.
That's true.
Well, I am not here to judge today.
Yeah, if it's good acting, who cares?
As I drink my LaCroix, I'm not here to judge.
Yeah.
But, Lisa, when you bring that up about the poster, about the promotion, the Jaws poster and the Star Wars poster, the elements are different, but the construction of it is very, very similar.
Kind of the same,
now that you mention it.
Now that I'm seeing it, I do see, you're right. Now that I'm looking at it more closely.
Yeah. I remember when this played in Manitowoc, it was, I was just a kid like Lisa, but it was packed. I mean, it played at the Mikado. There were lines, down the block to see it, which also made it easier to sneak into if you were just a kid. And that's what I did. I snuck in through the back way because they didn't have air conditioning at the time. So they left the back doors open to let the air flow through, which helped juvenile delinquents like me to see it. I was too young to see it, and it scared my pants up, but, kind of in a fun way, in a good way. I remember the head rolling out underwater.
Yeah, that's the scene I remember the most. That scared me. Yeah. Oh.
And some of the shark stuff is cheesy. Now. At the time, though, it was just so cutting edge, and it was great practical effects. I still think it is. I'll take the moments where it doesn't look real. For the 70% of the time, it does look real.
Yes, exactly. And
I'm a summer movie in summer, like in the height of summer. It's all of that, like.
Oh yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I have a big fear of open water, so when I saw this movie, I was like, oh no, this is not going to be good for me. Even in lakes, even though it's not really, it's like fish in lakes, not like stuff. I'm scared to swim in lakes, and this movie did not help me. So
no, but there's nothing like that in the lake.
Yeah, you don't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not trusting it. I'm not trusting any lake. I don't care. You could be hiding under there somehow.
I like that the shark somehow became a freshwater shark.
Oh yeah.
But it was such a cultural touchstone. Did you ever see? Do you remember the land shark sketch on Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
I am not familiar with that.
Oh
well,
yeah,
because you were really young.
But it was at the time of it, and there would be someone who showed up at the door when they weren't expecting it, and they would be saying all different things like Candygram, police, and then eventually they'd say something that would get them to open the door, and the shark would lunge in and just chop on whoever it was and drag them out. It was tremendously funny, dumb, but funny.
Yes, it was really funny.
Oh, I gotta look that on YouTube.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
All right.
As you can hear, our 4 minutes have run out, but that's just it's a completely arbitrary thing.
Yeah. Right. I think we're good. So we're gonna go on to our next one, which is one of my all-time favorites. The Avengers. Yes.
Yeah. I just watched this last night.
Yeah, I'm a huge Marvel nerd, so I remember this was like everyone was so excited for this. Is one of the biggest movies ever when this was coming out, and it did not disappoint. Seeing all their individual movies and then seeing them all together finally was just like chef's kiss. So good. Joss Whedon, is that how you say his last name?
Yes. I believe so, yeah.
He so good. This is one of my all-time favorite ones. So I can watch this anytime. All the other ones I can watch all the time. Masterpiece in Marvel, my opinion.
For me, it was the best and the worst. Because, no. Don't gasp yet. You can gasp soon. But this is the one that I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But at the same time, it killed my desire to see any superhero movies anymore.
Really?
Why?
It was like the exclamation point for me. And like I said, I loved it. I thought that one was like the perfect one. And my like of superhero movies stopped with this movie for whatever reason.
Okay.
But I loved this movie. I did. I really did.
I had the opposite reaction because I don't like superhero movies. And the scene that turned me was when Hulk takes Loki and says, "Puny God," and he pulverizes him. Yeah. I just love that.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best.
Well, Marvel, they're always known for their humor like that. I always like that they can be serious, like super emotional, and then just flip something like that. I love it.
Yeah. I've actually seen Mark Ruffalo do that to someone in public.
What?
No, not at all. I'm completely making that up. He's not that strong.
No, I don't think so.
No, but I mean the humor aspect is what set the Marvel movies apart because there was very little humor in superhero movies up until that point. They were all very serious,
And I got to admit, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man,
so good.
No, it's not good. It's just good to look at.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to take your word on this one.
He's just my kind of guy.
Oh, good. Is PJ aware of this as well?
Yes, we've discussed this.
Okay, good to know.
I have the laminated card with the people who that's my movie boyfriend.
So that's your hall pass?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Hopper from Stranger Things is my TV boyfriend.
Wow, I'm glad you have so many boyfriends.
This is a kid show. This is all ages. We got to keep it low here.
I think we've been very safe.
I know.
I don't think we've strayed out of PG.
We have.
Maybe PG-13. Just a couple comments from Jesse that summer blockbusters are so quotable, and that's true too.
That's true. Yeah.
Like from Jaws, like everyone knows you're going to need a bigger boat.
Yes.
I mean that is just forever, and also that she loves Marvel movies.
I take credit for that. I got her into them. So
well, and then you got her into this too. That Chris Hemsworth as Thor is cute.
We know this. Yeah,
that is. It is a known fact. Fair enough. As long as no one's getting hurt, everyone knows.
Yeah, and I was gonna put Infinity War. It said this one, but this just started the whole thing because I remember when I saw Infinity War in theaters. That last 10 minutes of everyone just disappearing, the whole theater was just dead silent, not a word. That effect when that happened, that was just one of the never experienced that before ever again. So, but this started though, so I give it credit.
Yep. No. But I'm not saying I don't see superhero movies. Also, because my wife is a huge fan, so I will go. I just have never liked another one as much as this one.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I forgive you.
Oh, that's all I've ever wanted, really. So, should we on to the next one?
Yep. So next one, another all-time favorite of mine, is gonna be Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
Spielberg again. He knows what he's doing. This movie is phenomenal. The effects I'm still amazed by years later for 90s, late 90s, I want to say.
Yeah, it was mid 90s.
Yeah.
Just like I'm blown away. Like CGI, that T-Rex scene, the water vibrating as the steps get closer and closer, and then you see so good. And the characters are very relatable. This is peak summer blockbuster in my opinion. Just amazing.
Yeah, likable characters, people who you were rooting for, also people who you're not rooting for, like the guy who gets crushed in the toilet.
Yeah.
You don't like him. Yay. Yeah. I like the book better, but I really like the movie.
I've read the book too, and I do like it, but I thought it was a good adaptation of the book.
Yeah, close. Yes, absolutely.
Pretty
and
close,
the first time we saw the dinosaurs, that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing maybe about summer blockbusters too, is it's the first reveal of something too. Like it's something that has never been seen before. You get to see, and the seeing of the dinosaurs was pretty absolutely magical.
Yep.
And while I did like the book, it was really pretty much one character where I thought they could have done, but that was Jeff Goldblum's character.
That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to ratchet up the Goldblum sexy a little more, and plus in the book he dies.
Yes,
his character dies, and I thought it was a very poignant in the book, and I thought they could have done it with Jeff Goldblum because he's a good enough actor to pull it off.
Yep.
But I saw this when I was living out on the East Coast, and I made my wife. We made it a destination to go to the Ziegfeld movie theater, which it's just a grand old movie palace. You see, Woody Allen always refers to it in his movies.
Yeah.
And it is a great place to see a huge movie, and it was just wonderful. I mean, I loved it. When it came out, I didn't care for the sequels nearly as much.
Same.
They didn't, you didn't have this. I didn't have the same investment in it, but that scene with the water is so iconic.
Mm-hmm.
It's
so terrifying too. Like,
yes,
you know something big is coming. It's probably the T-Rex, but you just don't know until you finally see it. Yeah.
Well, and it's so simple. Mm-hmm. Like it's ripples on a glass of water. And that's so wild, that it got everyone in the theater so on edge.
Yeah.
I also liked Samuel Jackson in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I swear they must have paid him in cigarettes, because that was really all he did in the movie was he was chain smoking.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
He's dedicated. I'll give him that. Two comments on this. One from Jesse that still scares her to this day.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And then Therese chimed in with the first moment when they see the dinosaurs is still my favorite moment of one of my favorite movies. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It is. Mm-hmm.
And the music.
The score, I was going to say that.
When you first see the dinosaurs emerge, it takes your breath away for a second.
It does.
Yeah.
That's another thing about summer movies. Good music scores.
There is.
They get you right in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. They elevate your emotions no matter what those emotions might be.
Yes. I agree.
Now, do you guys like the Jurassic World sequels or stuff? Because I would consider the first one kind of a summer blockbuster, because that was the first, after a while, the first one. So what do you think?
It had its moments.
Yeah, I agree.
It just didn't. it didn't grab me like this one did from start to finish.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair.
But again, sitting in the dark eating popcorn, there are so many worse things to do.
There is.
You know,
I agree with that.
I agree.
All right. Are we ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, you bet.
All right.
And this is the last of our
best
classic, the best, and this one is
this is very dear to my heart. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the last ever Harry Potter movie. I am one of the biggest Harry Potter nerds you'll ever meet. I liked when they made the decision to split this into 2 parts. I was skeptical, but then I realized how much is in the book, and they had a lot to cover. So I was glad they put all the war fighting in this last part. It was just phenomenal. This was something that people were talking about for a long time. I saw this in family, my whole theaters. I got emotional. I cried during it because it was so good.
I have to tell you, my daughter is a huge fan, and I never was. And they had like some kind of marathon on, and I kept popping in. And then I sat through the first and the second. Mm-hmm. And by the end, the 3 of us, me and my 2 children, were sitting on the couch absolutely bawling. Yep. And I wasn't even sure what I was crying.
It's the end of an era.
It just hooked you. Yeah, I agree. And I'm not like, I haven't read all the books, but I did see the movies.
Oh, yes. So they did it so good. They did it so good with the faithfulness to the material. So every single scene, I'm like, yes, they did it so good. This is so beautiful. Like, just like getting it so emotional. Like, and the very last scene at King's the train station, I'm just like, it's so awesome. They're grown up. They have kids.
Yeah. I must admit, I've never seen it. I've seen. Oh no!
I take back my forgiveness. I don't forgive you now.
Oh, my forgiveness is gone. I had it just for a brief second. I will relish those moments when I was forgiven. But as far as sci-fi fantasy goes, I'm much more of a sci-fi person.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fantasy person. I'll like the Lord of the Rings movies. That's probably as good as it's gonna get.
That's one of the best though. So
during my lifetime, but that's like a rare exception for me. I'm not a big magic kind of person, and I didn't have, I don't mind. I understand the appeal. It's just it didn't appeal to me, and I've seen 15 minutes of the first Harry Potter movie, and that's all I've seen. I haven't seen any of the series. So I'm not going to say anything because I've seen all of so many of the actors.
Yes.
And they're all quality actors. There's not like bad people in the bunch. They got good people. Even the kids, they took, they rolled the dice on kid actors that weren't known, not really well known or anything.
I think it was their I think they all auditioned. It was their first time ever in movies, and it paid off big time.
Yeah, and as adults, they still continue to do good work.
Absolutely.
And so Daniel Radcliffe is on Broadway as we speak. So I can't say anything about this one though, and I won't sully it with a pretend response.
Okay, I'll take that.
All right. Yay! Back, maybe inching closer to the forgiven column again.
And they are I don't know if you guys knew this, they're making, and I'm iffy, I'm kind of torn about this. They're making a TV show now based on the books. That's like, it's kind of too soon. Like, this just ended like, when did this come out? I want to say 2013. I want to say
that sounds about right. Yeah.
It's like, no, like, I don't know. I'm a little torn. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the TV show.
They're hungry for content, though. So there are so many streaming. It's just crazy. It's just crazy.
I will wait and see how it is. I will judge from there. But I just feel like no. Like it's been 10 years, quite on 11 actually. So, but it's been a long time. But still, like, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes.
So are they Are they creating new material, or are they going back to the source material?
They're going back to the source material. I think they're going to do. I don't know the specifics. I think it's going to be one one season per book. I am not certain yet, but I just know they're making one. They casted some people already, so it's coming.
Okay. We've reached our time, but you know what? Just a comment on that. While I haven't seen any of them, I recognize them that they are considered to be classics. I never understand the remaking of classic movies.
Yeah, me either.
Just show, like, if Jaws was redone now, it would be all CGI, and there wouldn't be nearly the fun of it. You know, I mean, because as scary as it was, there was a lot of fun in that movie too. It was a thrill ride. You know,
yes.
I mean, you know, and so I don't get when they remake things. I really, that's a mystery to me.
Money.
Yeah. Oh, I know that's what it is. And Jesse's favorite Emma Watson post-Harry Potter movie is the live-action Beauty and the Beast.
Post-career Harry Potter. Yep, she was good in that. I agree.
Yeah. I like Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah.
Because I know Steve Chbosky a little bit, and I would be hanging out with him when he'd like grab a beer, and then he's like, I gotta go. I've got to do editing, and it was on Perks. You know.
That's cool.
Yeah, he was dating someone in a theater company I was with, but he was such a fun guy to hang out with. He really was. So.
That's cool.
Yeah. So,
all right. Well, that's the best. Now we're going to talk about some of the worst.
Let's get into the worst.
Absolutely awful. So let's get into it.
Oh my God.
So this is The Last Airbender. So if you're not aware, there's a very popular Nickelodeon show called Avatar: The Last Airbender that's critically acclaimed. I still got to watch the whole thing. And when this was announced, people were so excited. It's M. Night Shyamalan. He made Sixth Sense. People were excited. He was like, oh, he's going to do good. And then it came out. I don't want to see this, quite honestly. I've heard, and when it came out, horrible. I hear it was so bad. It's considered one of the worst movies of all time. People were so disappointed. It was just a mess from what I've heard. So I had to put this in here.
For sure.
Do you know how many times I've seen this movie?
So, no. How many?
It had to have to be 10.
And why?
Why
would you torture yourself?
My children were little, and they watched all of the series, and then they wanted to watch this, and it was always on in the background. And then cut like 10 years later, and somebody says to me, "This is the worst movie ever made," and I was like, "I don't know. I've sat through a lot of bad movies. I didn't realize."
Well, it was such a bad. Have you watched? So you've watched the cartoon series?
Well, I didn't watch the cartoon series till afterwards.
Okay.
Because they had watched it, and then the movie was always on, and then I realized when watching the cartoon, I was like, "Wow, this is wildly different." And some of the choices were so inappropriate.
Oh
yeah.
No, because my daughter and I, you know, I remember when the cartoon came on, and we tuned in the first time, kind of like with Adventure Time. We're like, boy, this sure is going to be stupid. Let's watch to see how dumb it is. And by like 4 minutes into it, we're like, oh my God, this is such a good thing.
Yep.
And you know, and we watched it religiously, you know, even through the Korra version of it, you know, and then she went away to school. But you know, M. Night Shyamalan just really pooped the bed with this. Yeah, your impulse, Matt, to never watch it is the correct impulse.
Okay, it's good.
It's cast horribly. There's way too much CGI, and I mean, I know you have to use CGI because you can't do practical effects with controlling fire and the earth and water, but it was just so bad and clunky. It was like, I don't know, like maybe a second year in college film student was given a $40 million budget.
Oh boy.
I have to be honest, this is the first time I ever realized that M. Night Shyamalan did this movie.
Really?
I had no idea because I really enjoy his films.
Yep.
And
I do by and large also.
Yeah, because this is not indicative of his work at all.
Not
it's
at
crazy.
all.
No, it's a blot on his record. And you know, and also whoever convinced him with the casting, well,
oh yeah,
that was horrible too. I mean, Dev Patel, who I like,
I do,
in other things, but as Prince Zuko, it makes zero sense. Like, for one thing, he's too old. He's
exactly, yeah.
Because Zuko should be a teenager, like the rest, like not Aang, but the other people, and it's just it's sickeningly bad, gut-wrenchingly bad in my
And I think he's still defending his choices, because I don't they call him Ung in the film instead of Aang? Oh, see, that's just bad. He's like, that's how it's originally supposed to be. Like, it's like, no, dude, you messed up. Just
let it go. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I was at Rutgers, they did a horrible adaptation. I went back to see it. They did a horrible adaptation of Macbeth, a stage production.
Okay.
And this isn't good. You don't have to have a vast knowledge of Macbeth, but it was set in the Brazilian. Their choice was to set it in the Brazilian rainforest, and it was a war between the blue people and the red people.
Okay.
Already, you can tell it's going far afield. That it's already bad. But they tried to Brazil up the names, like it wasn't Macbeth, it was Macbeth. But the one character, Donald Bain, in the play. Yep. They referred to in the Brazilian version as Danoba. And everyone in the cast just called him Donut Butt. So that's like what they did with this one, was they tried to like Asian it up.
Yeah,
it didn't need it. And it added to the horribleness. So don't ever see it, man.
I will not. I'm kind of curious still, but I'm going to refrain from it.
No, you should be happy with your choice.
Okay. Maybe if some afternoon you're sick on the couch and the remote just seems too far away and it comes on, then endure it. Especially if you have a fever, it'll make it better.
I highly doubt that.
Yeah, I doubt it too, but
I think it'll make it worse.
It probably will. I agree.
I think so.
All right. We're moving on to the next one, which is Suicide Squad.
Oh, boy.
So now, I'll give this one the benefit of the doubt. I don't mind this one. Me and Jesse just watched it recently a little bit ago, and it was fine, but I know people just can't stand this movie, so I had to bring it up, because people were excited for this one, too. Because it was it was super edgy, very violent, just like very gritty, and it really wasn't what they were expecting. So, but I'm going to say I don't mind this one. This is the best one on the list so far. For the worst ones out of the other ones, in my opinion.
I have to agree. Like, I was so excited about this movie coming out because I thought the same thing. This is going to be edgy. It's going to be gritty. It's going to be all these things. And I was like, what just happened?
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And there were scenes that they were trying to make you relate to these people, but it just really fell flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, there were, like the characters in the comic books, in the graphic novels, there is this kind of like, they care. I hate it when they occupy with trying to humanize things that don't have any human. There's no humanity in any of these characters.
No.
So why? It's like when they try and do a backstory for Freddy Krueger. Seriously.
Yeah.
Who cares why he's a monster? It's the monster that is entertaining.
Yeah.
But
was
like
his mother mean?
Yeah, I know. Oh, did somebody make him eat his Brussels sprouts? Oh God! Now I get it. I would have killed children too. It's just like with this, it was just so they put everything in a blender and none of it went together, and it just didn't work. It was. They tried to do too much.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, destroyed it for me. And some of the casting was suspect. Mm-hmm. Like Margot Robbie was definitely the best choice.
She was absolutely the best. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And, and it elevated her status as an actress, and she's, getting more although I don't understand the Lady Gaga choice for playing Harley Quinn in the new Joker movie.
I'm excited for that one, actually.
I don't know. I'm not a Gaga fan.
Oh, I am.
Oh, well, I'm not going to make fun of anyone or say anything bad about people's loves, because I love some things that nobody even understands why a human would like it.
That's fine.
But it's just like, Joaquin Phoenix, that's a lot in and of itself, without throwing Lady
Gaga
Gaga
into
into the mix too. That could froth over like a bad science experiment.
I'm very interested to see it. I'm curious to see how it's going to go.
Oh, I'm not
It's gonna
saying
be a
I'm
hot
not
bag of
going.
crazy.
Oh,
I'm just saying I might be hate eating my pretzel nuggets that
puking it up.
No, I'm never gonna do it. They're too expensive.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, this was just a disappointment. I think that's the thing about everything you have on your list is like expectations were super high for the movies, and then they just utterly disappointed.
Yeah, they did redeem themselves. I've not seen the newest one that James Gunn did, but I hear that one's like 100 times better. So.
Well, it's just not, they just don't take their foot off the gas. They don't try and explain everything away.
Yeah.
They greatly reduced the Joker's role, which I think was smart. Yeah, because what's his name who played the Joker in this? What?
Jared Leto?
Yeah. I like him in one thing, and one thing alone. I love Requiem for a Dream.
Ooh.
Although it makes me feel bad about myself for at least 2 weeks after I watch it.
Only 2 weeks?
Full 2 weeks.
How about
full 2 weeks. But I think everyone, I'm not going to mix apples and oranges, but I just think everyone who does that movie in Requiem for a Dream is so good. Like, even though it's a tough watch, everyone is so good.
Yeah.
And he was just, I don't know, method actors, as a former actor, method actors drive me crazy.
I don't blame you. I would be annoyed too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, just act. It's supposed to be fun. Yeah. It's like, it's a childlike activity. They're called plays for a reason. They're not called don't sleep for 8 weeks so that you can do a certain thing.
Yeah.
So, but we have a comment. Let me see what that is. It's Jessie. She loves Harley Quinn. There's a lot to like there.
There is.
A former psychiatrist who goes over the deep end because of some untapped thing in her. There's a lot there. You don't have to understand more than that.
Exactly.
So trying to give a backstory. I'm with you. I'll go beyond this one.
All right. We're going to move on to the next one. We're going to do that. When are you ready, Tim?
I am. That was a mistake. But that
Batman and Robin. So I personally haven't seen this one, but I know enough about it.
I have never seen it.
I'm not going to watch this one. I've heard about the nipples on the bat suit, the constant Mr. Freeze ice puns by Schwarzenegger.
But every line, I saw this in the theater.
You did? Okay.
I will admit to it. I shouldn't admit to it. They did nothing with the Poison Ivy character. They just had her there. Batgirl, tremendous mistake.
Is that Alicia Silverstone?
It is.
It is.
Oh my God.
She's Catwoman, right?
Yeah. Batgirl.
Batgirl.
No, she was Batgirl. Okay. Catwoman wasn't in this one. They tried to have a quasi romance with Batman and Poison Ivy, but it's a dumb thing to do because no one can touch Poison Ivy or they die.
Yeah.
So it goes nowhere. Chris O'Donnell was horrible as Robin, horribly miscast. I mean, the anatomically correct outside of the bat suit was at least funny.
It was
at least, but and I like George Clooney. He was terrible, but the amount of puns, the amount of ice puns was, it was every line. And he's just not that good of an actor. He's better when he doesn't talk or his lines are brief.
I agree.
He lets his actions speak for him.
The Terminator, that's his best role. And then it all goes downhill from there. In my opinion.
The suit was anatomically correct on the outside?
Yeah.
Well, upper body wise, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, upper body. Not the bottom, no.
Okay.
Well, but I mean, the uniform, the suits did have more like cod pieces to them as well. I mean, there was more going on south of the border than there should have been, but it wasn't as anatomically correct like the chest.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird choice.
It is. I don't know if this one was. I'm pretty sure this one was pretty anticipated too. I don't know for sure. It was okay.
I mean, because Clooney was absolutely at the height of
Leading
his
man.
popularity.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger, they thought this was going to be something different for him, where it was like more acting. Uma Thurman was, really popular at that point too. As was, everyone was really popular at this point.
Now,
and then
go ahead.
Oh no! And then there was no chemistry. Nothing worked. Not a single thing.
Was this Joel Schumacher?
Yeah,
it was. Okay. Did he do the last one before this one too?
The one with Jim Carrey, right? Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And they just didn't make sense. They and there was, it was just a mess. I would say it seemed like one of those movies where there may have been drugs in a back room involved, and everyone thought they were doing a great thing.
Who knows?
Yeah, no, exactly. It just reminded me of something that was fueled by something more than creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And because nothing made sense. It was all just a lot of splash and nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like I said, I have no desire to see this one. I've heard too much. I've heard enough about it to never see it. So,
yeah. That's also a wise choice. I applaud your restraint. Unless you're going to specifically a bad movie festival, or a bad movie night, you don't want to ruin your day by seeing this movie.
Okay, good to know.
For real.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next one.
All right,
which is Transformers: Revenge of the Falling. I have a personal vendetta against this one because I loved the first Transformers, and I was really excited for this one because the plot looked cool, the fighting looked cool, and throughout the whole movie, I just had this stank face. Like, what is this? What is going on? What? And this is still on my top 5 worst movies of all time.
So
what else is in the top 5?
That'll be for another time.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. That is a good show. Yeah. Worst movies of all time.
So this one, I don't know. Like, I thought the dialogue was awful. The stupid humor, like his mom getting high on the weed brownies at college.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you doing this? Can we just focus on the Transformers, please? Like, Megan Fox is not a good actor in my opinion. I don't like her.
No.
Shia was fine.
Pretty much everybody's opinion.
So the CGI was amazing, but I don't know. The whole plot was stupid. It was just a stupid movie, and I hated it. And my friends who I went with, they loved it, and they're like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Horrible." And they were so confused. Like, why? I'm like, yeah. So I don't like. This is horrible, in my opinion. And I've not watched any Transformers movie since then.
Oh yeah, I cut you off, Lisa. What were you gonna say?
No, I just I have no gauge because this kind of movie is not my. I have the stank face a lot when I watch movies.
I think this movie, more than any, exemplifies a trend that I find troubling when they run with sequels, and they don't really have a good idea where they want them to go. Like, the Harry Potter movies, I might not like them, but they've got books that they're based on. They have things to follow. Anything that has a plan. A real plan. The Transformers movies more than any of them. I too like the first one a lot. And it was a lot of fun. But all they do at a certain point, and this I think is the one that really was most guilty of it, they just ratchet everything up. Yeah. They make it faster, louder, bigger, and in this case, more confusing. Because there were times where there was stuff going on the screen where it just looked like a jumble of stuff. You couldn't really even tell what it was supposed to be representing. Mm-hmm. And I have pretty good focus. So it's not like the intricacies of transforming were lost on me because the first one was great. It was fun to watch these things, and their technology finally was there to make it look, if not real, believable, possible in an alternate world. But when movies just ratchet it up, that's when they lose me.
Yep. And Michael Bay is kind of known for that, so he's not one of my favorite directors. Like, I do like Armageddon, and that's like the only movie I like from him.
Armageddon is such a weird movie.
It is.
I mean, I think again, Steve Buscemi is great in it. He just. But that scene with the animal crackers, that's one that sticks with me more than anything, and it loses me for the movie. But but then it brings me back in at the end, like when Bruce Willis. Have you seen this, Lisa? Have you seen Armageddon?
Yeah, but again, this is like that's not
your type. You like,
yeah.
That's fine.
Oh, I get that, but where it draws me back in, it was the scene where Bruce Willis knows he's dead. Where he's sacrificing himself, and that flashback sequence where they did it really fast of everything in his life passing before him fast, and then it's over. That was done remarkably well. I wish they had done the whole movie like that, and it would have been a different. Well, not like that, but had done it with that kind of care and quality, and then it wouldn't have been kind of a punchline, which it kind of is now. It
is. Yep. So, Michael Bay, he's just known with I call him the explosion guy, the explosion director. That's always he can do good mostly.
Yeah. But even with the explosions, he's got to make each one bigger than the last.
He does. Yep.
So, if you want to see explosions, you're right. Bay's the guy to go to.
Yep. All right. So we're going to go to our last one here for the worst. This one was very controversial when it came out. Battlefield Earth. So I don't know for those watching, if you're not aware, this was kind of based on Scientology, right, Tim?
Yeah. It's based on a novel written by
L. Ron Hubbard.
By L. Ron Hubbard.
I think this was a passion project for John Travolta, I want to say, and it was just this is another one I'm not going to watch either, but I've heard a lot of stuff about it. I just hear it's embarrassingly bad.
And you can feel it. Like you can feel. Have you seen this, Lisa?
No, I refused to watch it because I knew what it was about, and it made me uncomfortable. Really made me uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, no, it's legitimate having Scientology, scripture preached at you via this thing, but you can feel the uncomfortableness oozing off of the screen. Like you can tell Travolta is really, he's doing something, and he thinks he's doing something right, but you know that everyone around him can tell that he's doing something wrong.
Wrong, yeah.
The only thing I kind of like about it is Forrest Whitaker. Just he is there, and his performance is just admitting he is cashing checks.
That's admirable. If you want to do that, do it.
He's phoning it in.
Money.
No, he's not even phoning it in. He might as well just have a stack of money and be making it rain throughout the whole movie. He is not acting. He is present as Forrest Whitaker, not as his character. It's just like, hey, everybody, they gave me a dump truck full of money, so that's why I'm here. And the craft table's pretty good.
Jeez.
But it's a horrible movie.
To do it. Do you just think it was the money?
Oh, sure.
Actors do that, yeah.
Honestly, if you offer people enough money to do something, and it's not going to take that long, and maybe they're shooting in an interesting location or in a different country that they want to visit, and it gets them there to do stuff 3 days after after they arrive because the shoot isn't that long. Hell, yeah. I don't know if I do something that promotes Scientology, but at the same time, I'm sure I could be bought. I know I could be bought as an actor. When I was an actor, I know for sure.
Yeah.
I know 100%. So.
All right.
No, but this one was a dog burger. It was just like, it's on a lot of people's list, right under Plan 9 from Outer Space is the worst movie ever made.
I've seen it on many. I've seen every list I think I've seen of worst movies.
Yes.
I want to say.
Yeah.
So maybe.
And, just to go back to something that you had said, Matt, Charisse made a comment on, that she loves the personal vendetta comment, that she has felt angry that she was drawn into a horrible movie and hated the waste of time. No,
that movie was long too.
Oh yeah, for me, it's Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone has stolen hours from my life that I can never reclaim. And just liking the line, "You're a good-looking man, Mr. Garrison. When I get out of prison, I'm going to come and look you up," from JFK by Kevin Bacon. That's the only thing I liked in the movie. 10 seconds of hours of regret. Oh my goodness. So
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
All right, I think that wraps up the best and worst. I think we're for our last part here, we're gonna each of us are gonna pick a movie that is coming out this summer or we've seen already that we wanna let people know to see. So, do you want to start, Tim?
Sure. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click through these movies. I just had them in the order you had.
Okay.
I did a little cramming for today because I wanted to see as much as I could.
Sure.
Of the 3 movies that are out, I did not see Inside Out 2, but I did watch Planet of the Apes last night and Furiosa.
Okay.
First of all, Planet of the Apes, that's the one I would recommend. It's let me turn. We finished early. That was pretty good. The CG, for me, this was a bit like either of the Avatar movies in that it almost was like an animated movie. Especially when it was just the simians and not the humans. At that point, it really just seemed like really well done animation, and it was extraordinarily well done. But this had a really good story, and
okay.
It was relatable about how people twist the best intentions of someone trying to make things happen into being something bad. It explored, the differences in the ape society, what humans were doing. It was engaging. This and Furiosa were both a little overly long. They didn't need to be 2.5-hour movies.
It's a trend.
Yeah. It very much so is. And I understand people are paying more for the movie. They're trying to give them more for what they're paying for, that they feel justified. Furiosa, on the other hand, I could not recommend.
Ooh,
I love the Mad Max movies. I'm not, a hater. Some are better than others. I think the first 2, Mad Max and The Road Warrior, are still the best. Mm-hmm. But this one, it just never gelled as a movie.
Okay.
And there were parts where they would just kind of leap ahead in the story, but they wouldn't give you any transition. And it just kind of happened. So it was difficult to follow at times. And Chris Hemsworth, man, he did a lot of yelling. Like his first scene and his last scene were really well acted. And in between then, he was just there to yell. My wife turned to me and she's like, how much do you think his voice hurt after a day of shooting? And she's right. That's a very accurate review of the film.
That's funny.
And the final scene was very good. But overall, I'd say it's a very skippable movie.
All right. Good to know. Well, I'm going to talk about Pixar's newest, Inside Out 2. So Inside Out, the first one, is one of my all-time favorite Pixar movies. I was very impressed how deep they were going to be able to get, with how a girl, a human, in this case, almost a teenage girl, her emotions, how they're going to affect her whole life. I thought it was very mature for Pixar. And Pixar is pretty known for being mature, but more mature than usual. So me and Jesse were super excited to see this. We actually had a conversation because the character, the orange one, Anxiety, she's kind of the main new emotion, and we were discussing how anime movies nowadays are really showcasing how an anxiety attack is really is portrayed really accurately.
Yeah.
Because there's a scene, I'm not going to spoil as much. There's a scene near the end where there's somewhat of a panic anxiety attack, but the way it's portrayed made me tear up. And then the other one I said, Puss in Boots, the sequel, that also had another really good depiction of an anxiety attack. So I'm really proud that anime movies are showing that, and that it's an actual human thing. So I gave this movie a lot of credit for it. So
cool. Good
for that. And it was just amazing. The new emotions were cool. Very good. So I recommend Pixar. You can't really go wrong. So
no, you can't. You can't. I really love them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and they do such a good job. I mean, their animation is great.
Yeah.
And they break your heart.
They do. R.I.P. Bing Bong.
I know.
But I mean, I think that, they were such huge fans of Miyazaki before they came out with anything but their short movies. Mm-hmm. And Miyazaki's movies, pick any of them. I mean, some of them just leave you a puddle on the floor.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
and so, but your heart gets broken in everyone. And I think they took that cue for storytelling in their movies and translated it over to an American audience where, you know, I think Miyazaki stuff will more profoundly impact you if you're Japanese. Well, I still love them, but I think I'm missing cultural things. But that's what I love about the Pixar things.
Yes.
There is a lot of heartbreak.
All right, Lisa, what do you want to talk about?
So one of the first blockbusters for me, summer, I went to see Alien when I was 10 years old with my dad, which was probably a really
Too young.
bad parenting moment. But we love scary movies, and he had read about it, and he took us to see it. And by the end of it, I was 10, my brother was 7. We were sobbing. And he took us out, and we both looked at him and went, "Can we see it again?" we just we just loved it. So that Alien Romulus, I'm really excited. My daughter even called me, and she was like, "I don't know, this looks pretty scary. It could be corny, but the first Alien really, it's so dark and so scary, and they did it perfectly where you really didn't see, like, the scariest thing is this thing you don't see, and you really don't see a lot of the monster till the end. It was just, so that holds a special place, and I'm excited for that.
I'm really excited for the director that's doing this one, because he's known for like very claustrophobic dread atmosphere, because he did the Don't Breathe movie too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so that
was
all atmosphere. And he did I haven't seen the remake of Evil Dead, but I heard that one was kind of the same thing. So when I heard he was directing, I was like, "Ooh, yes, galore." I love it.
He did a great job with Evil Dead. I went and saw that in the theater when it came out, and there was kind of this talk like, "Well, what are you going to do?" You know, it's a classic movie to the point where Sam Raimi made a parody of it with the second one out, like he made it into a comedy. You know, but he did a great job of capturing that. Claustrophobic paranoia. That was so great. And then he uses more practical effects than VFX.
Yes.
And in Evil Dead, his remake, he set a record for the most artificial blood ever used in a film shoot.
Okay.
And there was one point at the end of the movie where it's like raining blood, essentially.
Of course.
And you're like, well, there can't be any more blood. And then the blood increases. And it's both funny and terrifying at the same time. So, and I love Don't Breathe. I
that was a great one. Yep.
It was so much fun, and it sends you in one direction and then just whips you around. Yep. Oh, such great storytelling. So I have high hopes for this one as well.
Yeah. And Lisa, you know when
they're going to bring it back to the beginning. I'm sorry.
I said, you know when this one is set is the timeline of this one. You know where it's set, right?
No.
It's set between immediately after the first Alien and between Aliens.
Oh, that's cool. No, I was not aware of that.
That's interesting. Yep. The new ship, they find the ship that Ripley left in the first one. I think they explore it, and
that's
so great. Cool. I love that. That's very cool.
I think that's what happens. But yeah, I saw right after the first one. Ooh, that's gonna be good.
Because as the movies, like as the series went on, they got bigger and it was more action. But the first film wasn't really that. It was like dark and it was scary and it was. So I'm glad that they're going back to that. I'm really excited to see that.
For sure.
Well, and I like, I do like that they're just going back to the original concept, because I thought the problem with the sequels as they went on and on was that Ridley Scott was trying too hard to tie up every single loose end.
Yeah. I agree.
And you just don't need to. You know, it was unnecessary. And the first one was great because of its simplicity, and also, the whole concept of space travel being like a freighter business, like where it's dirty and it's work. Because everything up to that, even if they were doing great work in space, it was pristine. Everything was so spotless, and it was great. And they had a great cast too. I mean, look at that cast. Harry Dean Stanton, Ian Holm, Sigourney Weaver starting to come up. Yaphet Kotto.
Yes.
You know, just
oh my gosh,
just
he
an
was
amazing
so good.
cast. So, yeah.
All right. Do we have any other? I think we're gonna wrap up here. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna take us back to being like more on screen, but Matt, what's your favorite summer movie of all time?
Oh God, probably I would have to say Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Even though I didn't see it in theaters, I know it's a summer blockbuster. I can never not get enough of that movie. So I'd have to say that one. It's just a masterpiece.
Lisa?
I'm going to say Raiders of the Lost Ark for the same reason, because that was a movie that the whole family saw, and that scene where the guy takes out the big machete and he just shoots him. I remember my father cracking up laughing, and I thought, this is so cool because we like the same movie. And that's still that's what summer movies mean to me. It's like that big event that everybody goes to.
Yeah. I saw Raiders at the Capitol when it was a movie theater.
Really?
Yep. And like Star Wars, I thought it was going to be really stupid. And I was really wrong. I went, and it was a free showing, double feature. The first movie was Legend of the Lone Ranger, and I was sure that was going to be a great movie. And I was very wrong. And I'm like, well, if that was bad, how bad is this stupid Raiders of the Lost Ark going to be?
And it was so good.
Oh, and within the first minute, I was hooked. It was so great. My favorite summer movie of all time may surprise probably anyone is Grease.
My mom would approve.
It's my favorite summer movie. It just hit me at the right age, at the right moment with what I was going through. The songs were great.
They are.
I loved all of it. And I probably saw it at the Mikado. I probably saw it in the neighborhood of 20 times.
Nice. That is a good one.
I remember there was a whole big discussion between my parents about whether or not I could see the movie, because there were some things that they talked about, and then then they finally let me see it, and half of it went over my head.
Yeah,
but I loved that movie too. I agree.
Good choice.
A lot of fun.
Nice. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you guys for joining me in this episode. We had a great discussion. I loved it.
Oh yeah, thank you. Excellent. Thank you for having me back. I loved it. It was so much fun. And a certain someone named Jesse, mine too. I love Grease.
He does love Grease, yeah.
Good call. Yes. Good call.
All right.
Yeah, but thank you. This is always a blast. Oh, and Therese, even before I even had a great show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Therese. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk more about bees.
Or The Beekeeper.
The Beekeeper, one of my new favorite awful movies. Have you seen The Beekeeper, Matt?
I have it on hold, so I will be getting it soon.
I can't wait to tell you the part where I was like an eighth of an inch away from standing up and cheering at AMC in Manitowoc when a certain thing happened.
Okay, I'll also ask you when I.
So great, such a great big movie moment. Right. But yeah, thanks for having me back, and thanks for it's a fun show. I love just talking movies.
Yep. So our next one, for the audience, for our next one's going to be a little more spookier. So I'm going to have our next one in October. And we're going to be talking about all things horror, which is one of my favorite genres. So I'm excited for that one. So please
mine too. So please invite me back.
Who knows?
All right. So I guess we're saying goodbye.
We are saying goodbye. Yes.
Bye. Bye. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.